I always forget that.
It's okay.
No. Now we have even more of a quorum there. We're just missing one with Sheriff Becker. And I know he had a 12 o'clock, so he's probably going to be coming down as soon as that meeting is over. Oh, you see him? Okay. Any public comments at this time? I don't see. I'll have you talk during the agenda item. So. All right. So, seeing no public comments, we will move on. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
So move.
Motion by Brad, second by Bill Leichnam. Seeing no objections, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. And then we will come to one of the two reasons I called this special meeting is an update on the Criminal Justice Coordinator office space. So it was brought to my attention Monday from Sheriff Becker that Ryan, the drug court coordinator, had some concerns about the possible move of the office space. And if you remember, at our last meeting, the committee made a motion, or a member of the committee made a motion, I believe that was Brent Verwink, and someone seconded the motion, I believe that was Bill Clendenning, and I believe it passed unanimously to make that move. I talked with Peter Kassenholz, and when motions like that are made, the county can then start acting on it. Things can be done. Technically, which we just did when you approved the minutes, you ratify the decision. So with doing that, since Ryan has these concerns, and it sounds like drug court has these concerns, I felt it appropriate to have an update on the office space, and then we have really two decisions. One, to reverse the decision we made at the last meeting, or move forward and really force Ryan to move. So that is the topic really at hand. I know I wanted Judge Wolf to come and kind of share some of the concerns that Ryan has and that drug court had, and then just have a dialogue as a committee how we want to handle this. So yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, well, so why wasn't Ryan here? Why wasn't Judge Wolf here when we made these decisions? And then at the county board meeting just Tuesday, there was no concerns about it, and the county board passed whatever we had. So
yeah, the county board, I talked with Peter about that. The county board received on file the minutes. Technically though, once we approve the minutes as a committee, the minutes are accepted. And that's why we're here, is we have a choice now to reverse the decision or keep the decision.
is Ryan on the?
I do not know. I know it looks like Randy Dorhurst is on, Kim is obviously on, help desk.
Are you talking Ryan McMillan? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ryan McMillan.
No, I texted him about the fact of trying to get in on this meeting, and he said he had staffing that he was doing.
Okay. So, but if there's any objections, I'm gonna let Judge Wolf have the floor. So.
So I just stare at you?
Yep, go ahead, or you can, yeah, I guess you have to stay.
So you're close.
I'm in the blue square.
You can't leave the blue area.
All right, so again, I try to always, when I see that there's agenda coming up for the coordinator or even things, I try to look on there and see, and I must have missed. I usually try to, like I said, when I get those from Trent that the agendas are coming up, I look through it and scan it just to make sure there's not something I missed, and I guess I must just have overlooked the fact that that was being brought up at that meeting. And again, it's not so much that we're concerned about the move happening at some point in time. The issue is, we didn't know anything was going on until, I didn't know anything about it until all of a sudden Sheriff Becker sent an email and said, well, we're approved for Ryan to move because we have two spaces by the Sheriff's Department. The coordinator is going to have one and he can have the other one. And so then I said, well, I don't necessarily have a personal problem with it other than logistics of it. And the one that jumped out in my mind right away is that UAs. In other words, our participants when they come in and they're required to do mandatory UAs. Right now, because of the virus situation, they couldn't do River Block. So they've been going to the 12th Unified Building. They opened that back up for us to do those UAs. So that right now, it's not going to be an issue. But ultimately, that's not going to be ultimately where they end up doing all their UAs. And when UAs take place, the one thing that was always addressed right off the bat is we need a secure location for that, not a public location, because of the fact that we don't want the participants, and it might surprise you, but they sometimes falsify their UAs by bringing in urine that they have on their person, or it's been known to take the UA if they have the opportunity to and put it in a bathroom or hide it somewhere in there, so when they go in to take their UA, because they, when it's an opposite sex situation, we do the best we can to avoid that. But when that happens, and they're not observed, right, someone right there watching exactly everything going on, then they can then take that out and use that in clean urine versus what they have to do. And so then I think Sean mentioned maybe they could go inside the actual jail itself.
Well, there's 2 bathrooms that are located in the lobby area, the secured area, videotapes, and there's cameras there that we're going to utilize. Those bathrooms, if we do move forward with that move, they'll be labeled as unisex. So and there's one bathroom in particular I can show you that is a little bit more private next to the jail kitchen, but it's not in the facility in the jail itself. It's in the lobby area.
And I know when we first started drug court, I'm dating myself, many years ago, when I think it was named now, it was a jail administrator that was doing it, and he's now a representative, I can't think of his name.
Oh,
Krug. That was always an issue about him meeting with participants in a jail type setting, just because of the nature of the beast here. We have people who are commonly in the criminal justice system, and a triggering event to them is being around people that they have to used with, partied with, whatever, and by putting them back into a jail setting, even outside the jail, while people are maybe waiting to get into the jail or everything else, we're kind of putting them in a contact maybe with people who are triggers to them or people who are used with. So I was starting to think about a little brainstorm. I know at one time on the 2nd floor, and I guess I don't keep an eye on that, I know there was like 2 women's bathroom, one for like disabled people, and then a regular women's bathroom, something like that. If we could secure one of those, might be a little bit better. But I mean, that was somewhat logistics that I'm just saying what the concern is. The other one that I think even more so is with Ryan, where he is now, they do their staffing for drug court. In other words, they receive the treatment over at the River Block building, and they do staffings based upon treatment. And so in Ryan, when it comes to our participants and the staffings they do with the treatment providers, he goes there and he puts his 2 cents in, because he's not only the coordinator, but he also does case management for all of these people, making sure what they're doing is right. They're online for their case management, and that's all discussed during the staffing. So then logistically, it's going to be it's going to be harder for him to go and attend those staffings, be part of that, give input and receive input from the treatment providers themselves that are administering the day treatment, IOP, prevention, whatever the case might be. The other thing is, he said, is a lot of times during these mandatory UAs, they're in treatment, and during their treatment, they have a 15-minute break. They come over to do your UAs for their 15-minute break, go back to their treatment, so that when they're done with their treatment, they're not hanging around there, they can go back to their job or whatever. So again, that's more of a participant issue as far as flowing them going back to their employment. So I'm not saying a lot of this stuff can't be worked out, and I think I came to originally, I don't know if it was this committee or, and talked about the fact that at some point in time, I would probably want the criminal justice coordinator maybe to look into consider being the supervisor agency of that position instead of contracting with ADDIC. And then ultimately, then the board would have to then prove Ryan to become a employee of Wood County, not an ADDIC employee. But I realize that would be off in the future here when that person's up and running, feel comfortable, and get their input of whether they think they can do their ongoing job as well as that. But regardless, those are, so I don't know if this person's gonna wanna jump right in and be the supervisor when they first start employment here anyways in July. I think they're gonna get their, get their feet wet, learn from, I guess your email said, you're kind of taking them under your wing for at least a time period. See what programs they wanna offer here, use deferred programs, what their job ultimately is gonna entail, and maybe hopefully encompass supervising this position, but. So those are just logistics. I'm not saying they're unworkable, but, the UAs were a big concern we had as far as that was concerned. And then a more practical one, just that treatment aspect, that he's gonna lose some of that ability to have that on-hands communication with treatment staff was the one, from treatment end was a concern.
Sure.
So those are the two really concerns that we have, and if we have to work through them, we'll work through them. I mean, I'm not gonna come in here and say, oh, you guys can't do this, or you shouldn't do this. I'm just giving you some issues that are gonna resolve.
And I appreciate the input. So I think right now we need to take all of this into consideration. And like I said, we have two decisions. One, reverse the decision, or really keep the decision as it stands. I'm gonna pass this out. I've already passed it out to a few people. Brett, if you can just. I did reach out to Brandon Berwink, and Ruben actually sent Sheriff Becker an email this morning that he CC'd me on it. I've printed that email as well, and if you can give a copy, make sure that the judge has a copy of both of those. And then I tried to just lay out some of the background of what has happened since then. Now, I will say this, at the end of the day, if we just decide to reverse the decision, that's fine. But I just want to make sure we understand everything that's going on. So I'll give you guys a minute to review this, and then I kind of want to go into a couple of these emails, so we can make an educated decision.
Can I just
Yeah.
say one more thing?
Sure.
And again, I'm not necessarily saying reverse the decision. I'm just wondering, can,
You hold on.
at the very least, right, September 1st or something like that, we can look into it, try to work out the logistics a little bit better. And then maybe have a chance to talk with whoever that coordinator is that gets hired, and see what their position is before we make a change like this.
Sure.
I think, to me, and then we could review it again in September, that would be ideal, just so you guys aren't doing anything to backtrack.
And I understand that. So assuming you all have it, I lay out some of the background as I recall it. And then there were two emails that I asked Brent Verwink to print for me because my printer wasn't working. So the first one is from Ruben. Ruben has already started some work on changing the bathrooms. So now, again, we've already put some work into this. We can hold off, we could change, but I just wanted to be fully transparent that some of this is already in motion, because from the meetings Sean and I had, Ryan did voice some concerns about the UA, some of those things, and so we tried to brainstorm in that meeting things that we could do. And it sounds from this email, Ruben has already at least started the process. So we need to put that into consideration, because if we do need to kind of even put this on the pause button, we're gonna have to talk to Ruben soon, so he's not getting too far ahead. The second one is from Brandon Verwink, because Brandon has made some of these meetings. I assumed he was aware of our decision, and so I wanted to find out from him, did he make plans for this room? It sounds like he had some plans for this room. I don't know from his email I didn't necessarily talk to him if he can halt those, but they did have some initial plans based off of COVID-19, needing some more space for physical distancing. So again, we just need to, whatever decision we make here today, we need to have the facts, and we need to decide how we're gonna handle this.
Well, I'd like to say, this has been through this committee, 2 or 3 meetings. It's been through the safety committee, which oversees the sheriff's department. You know, they have, and nobody has brought anything up about it. I had met the person that don't want to come because I've been to drug court and I know who he is. And I'm just shocked, what is he, that busy that he couldn't bring this to either the committee? And then the county board coming up Tuesday. I'm not in favor of reneging on this. I think we should just go right ahead with our plans and that's the way I feel.
Go like them.
Okay, so what I could gather, and it's kind of a quick study here, but these are little things that happen in the process of progress. Maybe we should be looking out 6 months, a year, and say, where do we ultimately put this person? What's that best location? And then we work through these minor problems.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the committee? Yeah,
Chairman, I think we should just move ahead. I do not understand, if this would have been me, if I was doing this stuff, I would have come to at least county board and sat down or at the 3-minute public talking and say, discuss what happened. This is what happened. Getting thrown at this as blue. As far as I'm concerned, unless there's a big problem somewhere that someday I ain't seeing, I'm not reversing. I'm staying the course, doing July 1st, and like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly July 1st. If it's a couple of days before or after, or whatever is more convenient for the county, that's fine.
Okay. Brent or Mary?
Just stick with the order.
I guess I don't have much to add here. I'm just reading these emails. Looks like Ruben started some work and it looks like Human Services could use the space. I guess if it was me. And I don't know, my understanding is that Ryan doesn't pay any rent over there. And so if I would prefer to have my own staff have their own space than to have someone that's not paying rent have their own space and make my staff share offices. To me, that seems a little, I guess I would say wrong, but it's not my office. I mean, that would be the one issue. I do think there's some concerns, obviously, about the bathrooms. And so I guess I'd like a better handle on the bathrooms over at Human Services that are being used. Are they secure? I mean, I think, so I can pretty much walk straight through that front door and walk backwards. But I don't know where this office is.
You can't get in that bathroom without.
Yeah, that bathroom he uses for drug court is secure.
So nobody else can use it except for him?
That's right.
So not only does he get his own office, but he gets his own bathroom that no one else can use?
And you don't have to pay rent.
Other than that,
Let me address that. That's because he was originally a probation pro when the group and everybody agreed to the position. But then when he moved over to Human Services, it was just, everybody thought that was a better fit because of the treatment and all that.
So when he was at.
So that was an MOU and understanding with the Director of Human Services. Again, remember, the Director of Human Services at the time, Kathy, is the one who created this position, wanted drug court. So.
She was at Unified at that point then.
Yeah. But she wanted the position. She went to the Criminal Justice Task Force, created the position, because I was DA at the time, so we were the only two that were, I'm the only one left from the original.
Was she the director or was Bass the director at that
She
point?
was the director. And then Randall, I think his name is now who left, many years ago now already, was there. But she created the position, she wanted the position, he got the position. So of course she was willing to use her facilities to.
At the old 12th Street location, he had his own secure bathroom as well then, that nobody else could use?
Well, didn't they have to buzz you in to get into 12th Street?
I was never.
I think it was 12th Street, you couldn't just walk through like you might get with the River Block. I think you came in, you had a big buzz or something to get even through the first door there.
Okay,
You couldn't get past those windows on closed.
so apparently at that point, space wasn't an issue. Well, it wasn't even an issue, I don't think, at River Block.
That's where I did my E-rings.
Anyway, so I guess if it was me, I would be more concerned about the space, but it sounds like these issues aren't going to go away if we wait until January 1st.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
No,
nothing's
it's
gonna
not.
be different, we're just gonna have the same conversation.
I mean, I will say this, I think we made a philosophical decision to have the criminal justice coordinator under the sheriff's department for a couple of years, to provide some supervision. We thought that would be the best place for it. We saw open office space, obviously across the hall, so I don't think any of that is changing. Unless you guys want to change that, but I guess from my vantage point, I still see that as the direction. We had talked about having the drug court coordinator be supervised under the criminal justice coordinator, and have, because of that direct supervision, have them in that same office space. Now, you know, I'll be honest, I think Judge Wolf does make a valid point. You know, if you want to hold off even until September 1, okay, that's 2 months. I think we could hold off if you want to do that, but then we need to reverse the decision we made to do that and to make that accommodation, still believing and knowing everything is going in that direction. But then we also have to notify Brandon Rubin. Well, Rubin will probably still work on it. But we have to notify Brandon at the very least, hold off on any changes you have for that desired space, so.
Can this committee at least indicate till September that they'll allow us to continue to use the facility to unify? Because right now, that's where all the drugs are being done. I mean, the UAs are being tested anyways, so right now it's not as a concern unless for some reason you take that away from.
The only way would be if we sell it. If we're not selling it, let's utilize it. 12th Street.
Yeah, it was closed before you opened the doors.
As far as, yeah, I don't see any problem still utilizing it. You know, whatever we need to do to keep things flowing.
I mean, the way I see it, he's already got an office at River Block and doing the UAs at 12th Street. So I mean,
Right.
I guess in theory, if he has an office here long-term, I
You
mean,
can still go to the.
he's still doing, it's the same thing, it's just moving his office space. As far as like being close to the counselors, I mean, I think my only belief is COVID has proven that we can do more online and in the phone. So I do think wherever we put him in an office space, I think he can still connect with the therapist and the treatment staff, even in a virtual sense. So that would be my only take. But I guess what is the wish of the committee? We can continue to discuss this, or do you guys have
Mary was.
Mary? I'm sorry, I forgot you, Mary.
No, that's fine. At this juncture, I don't see a value added to waiting. I think about the number of appointments and things that we could utilize that particular space for that Ryan currently occupies. And us to functionally be able to move forward as soon as possible would have a great value add for us over at Human Services. So that's, I think, and then I would just concur with everything that's been said relative to the support of the move thus far.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have to do anything with 12th Street, do we?
Say that again?
Since they're using 12th Street now, we don't have to make motions or anything. It's just basically move him over here, still utilize 12th Street until we can figure out a secure place in the
Yeah.
building.
I think, yeah, I would agree with that. Really, we're just moving his office, that's all we're doing. So if he wants to continue doing UAs at 12th Street, I don't see a problem with that.
Was there a problem with the space itself? 'Cause I think it's pretty nice space overall.
I mean, and I'll give my take, Sheriff Becker can give his. I didn't get the sense Ryan had a trouble with the space. I mean, he mentioned the UAs, knowing that the secure bathroom, things like that. We discussed in that hallway where that bathroom would have been and kind of the secure part of the jail, before you get into jail, but kind of the secure part, having like a desk coming off the wall a little bit. You know, the sheriff had talked to Ruben, and it sounded like Ruben was gonna make all of those accommodations. So, no, I didn't get a sense there was any issue with the office space when I met with him, so.
As far as like his copier and office equipment, does he have his own stuff now, or does he use the stuff that's in the building, or?
I don't know that, I cannot answer that.
He used a Wood County system.
I would assume it's gonna come with it, would be my assumption, but I'm not gonna stake my career or life on that, but I assume it's coming with it. So,
Shall we just move on?
I guess, if you wanna keep it at July 1, we just decide we don't do anything. If you want to push the date back at all, someone can make a motion. So that's where we're at. If you wanna change the date to like September 1, make the motion. If not, we'll just leave it as is. Sean?
Judge Wolf, we talked about a little bit at staffing on Monday. Anybody else have a big opposition to this that we should try to hear from besides Ryan? The sense I got from some folks on staffing was really focused around having treatment with Ryan seemed to be beneficial. Now, I don't know if it really needs to change something. I think, and I concur with Supervisor Fisher on the conversation we had. At that time, the only concern was the UAs. And as we talked through it, it seemed like that it would work. The concern I do have is the treatment court. And how valuable is it to have him that close to the treatment providers? I don't think, and that's really up for discussion right now. But if Human Services is already planned, for that office space already, it's kind of a moot point. We're gonna have to move forward. Just maybe that we didn't talk to enough people on the drug court team to see, hey, how important is this treatment part connected with Ryan? I see it's been working for years, obviously, but that doesn't mean we can't change and make it work.
So does he attend the staffings with these folks, these are scheduled appointments, or are these counselors just sitting in their office waiting for him to walk in and have a conversation?
No, they staff people in treatment. Treatment staff team gets together.
So these are scheduled appointments?
The treatment team, I think every Tuesday, does staff all of the people
Oh,
that they're receiving treatment on.
So every
then Ryan
Tuesday,
comes
you have
in
to
there
go over the building
and
have a
talks
meeting.
to them, and they share information about what happened in treatment with this participant, or Ryan can give them an update on things going on in their life that treatment might not know that he knows through drug court, and so then they collaborate with each other to make sure we're giving them the
Okay,
best services that we can.
makes sense.
And Sue was the one that had voiced the concern, because she wasn't aware of it either over there, that this was going on. And like you said, nobody from the team was aware that was kind of going on here. And Beth, I think, would have probably, but Beth, I think, was on vacation. But
Sure.
Well, let me say through the JNL committee, the victim witness. She came to me because we're the oversight committee, and she said, this office down here and what goes on down here, it isn't the right place for it. And I said, well, before we take it, why don't you go talk to the county board chair, which was also the administrative coordinator, and see what that person would say about it. And that person said no, and he wasn't interested in moving it. And so we brought it up at our committee, and we moved it to the executive committee, and the executive committee said they will move. And we had an office for them. There was an objection to it. The county board voted in favor of it. And that's what it is. I mean, people that are in political offices are so nice. Well, county government don't move so fast. Well,
Okay.
I can see why it don't sometimes.
All right, one last call, unless there's a motion, I'm going to assume we're keeping with the July 1st date.
With several days flexibility built in, but we're not gonna move it 2 months or anything like that.
I mean, I don't think the committee is, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If it's July 5th, I don't think anyone's gonna slap anyone's hand.
I'll make a motion that the move take place July 5th, by July 5th.
So July 5th is a Sunday, so.
Okay, July 6th,
Okay. Sorry, not to be.
July 6th.
All right, July 6th. So we have a motion for July 6th by Bill Clendenning. Brad, did I hear you second that?
Second.
All right, seconded by Brad. Any discussion?
Yeah, give them the holiday.
We know if Ryan has any vacation time scheduled on there, Judge Wolf?
I don't.
I don't either. you ask them. If it matters.
I'm just kind of waiting for, I mean, yeah,
I think it'd be more Ruben or IT getting things all set up, but.
And they're pushing for July 1st now. Now we just give 4 more days, so.
Lisa, are you on the call still?
I am.
Lisa, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
There was a discussion, I don't know if you heard, about moving Ryan, who does drug court, over to his new office space by Monday, July 6th. That's actually 6 days longer. Is that enough time for IT to move his equipment over from River Block to the courthouse?
I can't say for sure, but I can bring it up to the team and let you guys know. I mean, we typically ask for 2 weeks, which we're at least getting, so.
Okay, so if we said July 6th, it sounds like you could do that, okay.
Well, does
Yeah,
it have-
it's just getting it planned out if there's anything else scheduled or whatever that way. I don't have that off the top of my head.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That's not for the county computer or if it was added.
Which is it?
I think it's a county computer.
County computer,
I
okay,
think you've got a laptop, I think.
okay.
Um,
All right, yeah,
and typically we work with like EG or whatever that way as far as desks or any of that sort of stuff goes. So there's
okay.
collaboration that way.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So we have a motion on the floor in a second to extend the move to Monday, July 6th. Let's have some discussion on that. How do people feel? Any discussion, or we can take the vote. All right, seeing no discussion, I will then call for the question. All those in favor of extending the date to Monday, July 6th, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No? All right, so 4 ayes. Mary, were you an aye?
I'm a no.
Okay, so we have 2 noes, 4 ayes, and did you vote, Sean?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Would you like me to vote?
well, you're a member, so you can.
Oh, I am.
So 4 ayes, 2 noes.
I'll go on.
All right, 5 ayes and 2 noes for the minutes. So as of now, we are asking Ryan to move to the new office space Monday, July 6th. Thank you. Anything further that we need to discuss on this topic? Seeing none, all right, thank you. We will move on then to the criminal justice coordinator job description. Kim, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So
All right.
this was just an update for the committee related to the job description. As you recall, the committee did approve the job description at the last meeting, but I wanted to, I guess, notify you all that there's technically an open item on that job description that's related to the tasks that are outlined regarding the youth mental health court. So if the county decides not to move forward with creating that youth mental health court, we just need to remove the verbiage in the job description related to that. We're not scheduled to post until the week of July 27th, so we do have some time, but again, just more of an alert for you that there is technically an open item on that job description that we'll need to finalize before that end of July date.
All right, so maybe this would be a good time to put Mary on the spot. Where are we at with the youth mental health court?
So at this juncture, if we had to make a decision today relative to how we would look to move forward, and I'll actually ask Sheriff Becker for some input as well, I would say that we don't have the current judicial support to move forward with the youth mental health court. That's my assessment, and if that's a sufficient answer for you, I just, in conversations with Judge Brazo in particular, I'm not gauging enough support to really actively put an effort into formulating and moving forward, and that's very disappointing for me to have to report, but I believe it is the reality where we're at.
Okay, I'll concur. So you concur, all right. I guess I have a couple questions. So I know at the last meeting we discussed that Judge Brazo had some concerns. Have you met with him since that meeting?
Not since that meeting, no. Not on this particular issue.
Okay. Is there a meeting scheduled where you were going to follow up with him?
So he had asked us to work through a task that was pretty daunting and come up with quite a bit of information prior to scheduling a meeting with him. And so we're not at the point where we have all of the necessary information to really truly be prepared. He had basically indicated that he wanted to see what we were doing with respect to every single youth we were working with who had a mental health diagnosis, and put the reports together, which would involve, if we were to pull reports, it would involve a significant amount of redacting of information. If we weren't to actually pull and provide him with the reports with redacted information, it would involve us allocating staff time to tidy it up. So frankly, my concern was that that task was put out there with the thought that we either wouldn't be able to do it or wouldn't, it would be too daunting of a task, and then he would then be in a position to, again, meet us with some resistance.
Sure. Clinton?
You know, I mean, you know, Bill Lightman got on this committee and brought that with enthusiasm. Thought that was the best thing to be doing it's our youth, not people that are, you know, over their youth age and causing problems. And this was the mental health for the youth. And I would just like, if Bill would, go up to Brazo and talk to them about it. No? I mean, he convinced his whole committee that we should have this, I believe. Are you not the one that brought it up?
I think I spoke highly in favor of it, yes. So,
I think one thing is tough, when someone doesn't want to do something, sometimes they say, I just don't want to do it. And sometimes they make it very difficult and very hard to actually do it. And so, certainly if Supervisor Lightnum wants to get involved with that conversation, he could. And it might be friendly and it might be nice.
and it might not.
Well, I mean, he's worked with youth all his life. I mean, teacher, you know.
So are we at a place then where Judge Brazo would be saying, what we're doing currently is more than adequate? I see no reason to take this extra step. Is that where we're at? Or is it just a question of, you had, what, 78 youth cases and 3/4 of them would have had to been redacted? Is that?
He was asking for all of the cases, I believe it was 72.
72.
Something along those lines, yes. And so to address your question of,
So is that a folder with 20 sheets of paper in it? Are we talking about redacting 400 pages of?
depends upon the file, like it would depend upon the youth. I
The
mean,
amount of incidents, yeah.
the amount of history that we have. I mean, while I see great value to a youth mental health court, I see incredible value to it. Judge Brazo, in the course of our conversation, did identify that he feels that we are already doing some of those things. Although the trajectory for a youth in a youth mental health court is different than what I think he's identifying. When he's saying we're already doing those things, that's, you're bringing youth into the court setting in a different way, because you're bringing them on the ground and you're addressing them in a different way, whereas you have that collaborative approach with the youth mental health court or specialty courts in general.
So when you use the word trajectory, do you mean projecting out 2, 3, 4, 5 years? And 78 cases becomes, is that how you use?
So I'm thinking of trajectory along the lines of, we have a youth, we have a referral that's made, we have charges that come, and then the process that ensues legally as a result of those first steps. So that's thank you for asking that question though.
Brent, yeah.
I think, one of the things as we talk about courts and what we're gonna do is, this was something that I think obviously you were enthusiastic about, I think the committee was. Me, for maybe a different reason than what the former teacher was. Me, because as we developed this position, this program, we were gonna have a program that was, a lot of the work was gonna be done by human services setting it up. And it was basically gonna be a program that we were gonna be able to probably really get into maybe in January. Now, as we back up and we don't have that available anymore, we're looking at different courts, right, that we're gonna have to start, whether it be an OWI court or something else. And when we talk about an OWI court, that's not gonna be something that's gonna be just as easily to start. And my understanding is because judges are gonna have to commit to stiffening the penalties on OWIs. So there's an incentive for people to want to get into the court, because they, well, if I'm only gonna sit 60 days on a third offense OWI, my numbers might be off, Sean, I'm not sure, but, I'm just gonna do the time, and maybe I'll get electronic monitoring, and I'll go off to work, and I don't have to deal with these people that are gonna try to put me through treatment, rather than actually go into the treatment court. So, and that was my conversation with Judge Potter. They need to stiffen those penalties, and I don't know how long that takes. You know, as we look to establish a court, if we started that, would be operational in 2021 with an OWI court? Mid-2021, is that possible? Well, and with COVID now, I mean, maybe some of these cases are getting delayed a little bit as well, so how does that impact us? And so the guy was picked up, let's say, last month, but we don't get this case resolved for a period of time. You know, at what point, you know, if the DA's made an offer, then it's probably too late to do it. So are we gonna be looking at just offenses that have happened once we decide to start the court? So then it's gonna take us that whole cycle before we can actually get folks in. And so I'm not saying we shouldn't do an OWI court. I think it's probably a good idea, but I'm just saying is, it'd really be wonderful and great as we develop this program, if we had a court that we could get off the ground and get started when we get this coordinator here. Because if we ask them to fully develop the court when they start, there's gonna be a lot of downtime. And so if we have something or a mission for them to start on when they start from day one, I think we could really start to do some good. And I remember at one of our first meetings, Supervisor Fisher talked specifically about return on investment. And our return on investment, I think that was important to the board, that we show some return on investment. Not only are we gonna help people, but we're helping our jail population, we're helping our sheriff's department. And so I'm just saying maybe between now and our next meeting or the following meeting, maybe if we all looked into some possibilities of courts and we're able to discuss those, and maybe Sheriff Becker can get a better idea of how long he thinks that OWI court would be to develop. I think there's no reason we couldn't do two courts at once either. I mean, if we want to keep that person busy, we've already got somebody manning the drug court, right? Let's be aggressive in our approach as far as how we're going to develop these courts.
So, Mary, where do you get your list from? Schools, is it not? Some of them are schools?
Our referrals?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of them, schools through law enforcement.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is, it sounds as if right now Judge Brazo is not convinced. He's created some more work. So I guess this is my position. I loved this idea from day one. Anyone who knows me knows that I care very deeply about children and youth and the issues they face on a day-to-day basis. That's why I'm very passionate about health and human services related issues. But if we can't make it happen, we can't make it happen. But I guess what I would like this committee to do is maybe instead of saying no, is just have an understanding, let's hit the pause button. Because we never know when things might change. I mean, a year from now, we could have a conversation with Judge Brazo and there's an open door. I mean, I've been in Wood County politics now for 4 years and things change very quickly sometimes, almost like the wind. In some cases, in other cases, some things never change. But let's be hopeful that this is one of those times when, you know, maybe in the future we can open up this court. I guess that would be my 2 cents. Getting back to the job description, I guess my thought, Kim, would be as if we don't see that happening in the early part of next year, let's take it out of the job description. How does the committee feel about that? Bill?
So putting a pause on it sounded like a good idea to me. Until you said take it out of the job description. Wouldn't this be what the coordinator would do is say, I think Wood County needs a youth mental court. And I don't care if there's one judge in the county that don't want it. I'm gonna take that to the county board. I'm the coordinator now. I'm gonna take that to the county board. And if the county board approves us having that, how can it be stopped? And we say, oh, well, we took that right out of the job description, now we have to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, I'll tell you how it can be stopped. You're gonna have a judge that's not gonna do it. You can't make a judge run a court. They don't wanna run.
Yep, I would agree.
So, I mean, that's just the way it is. Maybe what we need to do is maybe Sheriff Becker or Supervisor Fisher or someone maybe to have a conversation. And I think Judge Potter maybe was open to the OWI court and maybe having that conversation for our next meeting and saying, hey, we talked to Judge Potter and he's interested in OWI court, and then bring that back. And then we know where we're at. And it might be to Judge Brazo, we understand that maybe the youth mental health court wasn't for you at this time, or you wanted more information. Is there a particular court that you're excited about? Because the likelihood of that court being successful is a lot greater if we have a judge that's excited and passionate about a certain purpose or cause.
And aren't we getting a fourth court coming up pretty quick? Within 2 years?
No,
For the fourth judge?
No, we're withdrawn from that.
they just passed a bill this legislative session that awarded judgeships. I believe Marathon County is getting one, and a number of other counties are getting one. But Wood County had indicated that there wasn't a need at this point.
So,
We had a fourth one.
Does that make sense though, as far as that conversation? And then we know what the judges are maybe, interested in?
Yeah.
Because we can't force them to do it.
I understand, yeah, I understand that. What I'd like to do, if the committee is okay with this, is I'd like to jump back to this job description. So the original conversation that Kim had was youth mental health court, is that in the job description or not? So let's tackle that right now.
We'll put it in the job description and have it, and with the understanding that he brings it up as it, get all the rest of this stuff done, and now you tackle the youth job description, or youth court, excuse me.
Brent?
I don't have it in front of me, but could we leave a lot of the components in there, but just not reference the specific court? Because no matter what court you have, you're gonna have mental health. I mean, Trump's going to jail, all over the place, right? Probably 80% of the folks there have some type of mental health issue. And so they're gonna be really needing to have this mental health knowledge or being able to work with those folks. And so it's gonna be important no matter what kind of court we have. So I think, leaving most of it in, can we just get rid of the mental health court part?
Kim, is that doable? Did you hear all that?
I did, and it is. So yeah, we could take the name of the court out, leave it a vague diversion court, and keep the case management language and everything in the job description.
Yeah.
Would you guys like to put that in a motion, or is that just by consensus we direct her to do that?
I'm looking to the parliamentarian. Who is it?
Well, that would be Ed Wagner, and he's not here, so it's more official if you do a motion. All right, we have a motion by Brad. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bill Clendenning. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. All right, seems like the motion passed unanimously. All right, now let's get to, because I think we can talk about this. Brent did bring up some good points about other diversion courts. I don't have the job description in front of me. Kim, do we mention any other diversion courts in that job description? Other than drug court overseeing that?
No, but there is some verbiage in there related to researching other diversion courts as appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good on that position.
It's good. Okay.
I hope.
And then, since we talked about it under this agenda item, I think one of our next meetings, we probably should be talking about that OWI court and find out if that's something. I know early on that was something it sounded like Sheriff Becker was interested in.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Absolutely. What I can offer up is a meeting with Judge Potter. And I can reach out to the Marathon County Criminal Justice Coordinator on what kind of information that they have as far as what it takes to get it off the ground. You know, at least some background for our criminal justice coordinator to work off of.
Dunn County also had OWI court, didn't they? I thought they did.
That was, January or February, I can't remember that far back.
I would recommend Sheriff Becker even just reaching out to Dunn County. I was very impressed with their programs. See if they have an OWI court.
They were trying a new family court model as well there, where they were bringing people in, it was bi-weekly that had CHIPS cases, and then bringing them in front of the judge and the judge would go through their conditions and to see if they're making progress on their conditions as kind of a way to police them and make sure that they were following through on their court-ordered conditions in order to get their children back. It was a new program that they had just kind of started, which was, I thought, interesting in that it holds the people more accountable. I think sometimes with cases, you end up with a lot of them, and sometimes it's hard to get a hold of people, right? They don't want to answer your phone, or they don't answer the door when you show up. But if they have to come to court, maybe they show up more consistently, and maybe they're more likely to follow through. I think that was their idea. That was one of the. There were some other ones, and maybe what I'll do between now and the next meeting is look through the other courts that they had and see what maybe we could think of as a committee that maybe we'd be interested in having this person put together alongside the OWI court.
Okay, that'd be great.
So,
Go ahead.
so if I'm 18 years old and I get picked up for OWI, I know I'm not supposed to be drinking and all. I get the punishment there when I could spend time in jail, right?
First offense, no.
First offense.
What is that, like third?
Second.
Or second?
So does,
Well, if you had a minor with them, then the first offense, would that get them jail time or no?
Yes.
Even anybody over 21.
I'm just saying, but we'll treat anybody over 21 years old. We'll treat them, we'll give them treatment. But for youth, no, there's no treatment.
What I understand with the OWI, I know where you're going with it, but with the OWI court, it's geared for the folks that have 3 or more offenses that and the partial reasoning for that is that there's significant consequences if you don't fulfill the requirements of OWI court. Then you could, you have that jail or prison sentence waiting for you. It might even be a 4th offense or greater, because that's where prison time attaches to your conviction. So I'll have to look into it a little bit more, but I know you're saying we're not helping out a young adult that could find, and it happens, can't ignore that, but the OWI court, from what I understand, is getting the people involved that have multiple offenses, and I think it's 4th or greater, because then there are some harsh consequences that attach to it.
All right, anything else, Kim, on the job description that we need to work out?
No, I don't think so. That was my main concern, is just the unknown of that specific diversion court.
Okay. So then next step on the job description would be then just posting it during the appropriate time, correct?
Correct.
All right,
Question.
go ahead.
So since we're going to change that, let's have that change for the next county board. So the county board sees it, at least, correct? Or will that be too late?
We have another meeting between now and then.
Yeah, we still have a regular meeting for the 24th, that I'm still gonna keep saying. So yeah,
Okay.
both the minutes for this meeting and the minutes for the 24th would go in the July board packet.
Good, good.
Yep. July county board, yep.
The last judicial legislative committee, there was a conversation, it seemed like a bit of confusion from that committee, not really understanding kind of what the role of this committee was. And they were looking for really more information as far as what our role was, because there was talk of a subcommittee and an ongoing type committee to get the position established. And so that might be something we put on the agenda for next meeting, so we can work through that and then be able to explain it to
Yeah,
council and legislative.
Yeah, well, here's what I was planning, is at the next meeting, if you read the minutes on number 10, Mary was going to bring back kind of a formula or framework for the foundational framework that we had discussed. So we were gonna discuss that at the June 24th meeting. I think going along with that framework, we could easily add on a discussion item to take back to judicial and legislative of what the plan is for this committee. Would that be acceptable?
I looked at Supervisor Lightnum maybe I can't remember exactly how that conversation went. It seemed like Supervisor Curry was maybe a little confused or concerned, and Supervisor Wagner was looking for maybe more direction too. That sound
You're
right?
probably right there, because the rest of the committee is sitting here. Most of the rest of the committee is sitting here.
All right, anything else that we would need to discuss? So far, we have those 2 agenda items. I'm thinking, I don't know if you'd have time by June 24th to have a conversation with Judge Potter. Is that too?
I'll see if I got his
Calendar.
agenda.
All right, tentatively, we'll put that.
If Bill decided to meet with him, that would be no objection from this committee.
No.
I would
With
say,
Judge Brazel, you mean?
Yes.
I would say if Supervisor Lightnum wants to have that conversation.
Yeah.
You know, I can have that conversation, it's just that what I would be saying would be experience-based and intuitive, and he's already asked Mary for detailed documentation. I don't know how far I'm gonna get,
It's a fair point, yeah.
you know, I think back to the first days on the job in 1971, you never saw a squad car at a school. Today, they have their own parking space. And they're there every day. You know, I've seen multiple officers.
And if you keep up like this, we'll have a parking place for a judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of thing I'm gonna say. I just don't know how far I'm gonna get. I don't know Judge Brazel's personality very well.
He'll show you it right away.
Yeah, I imagine. I guess I do know a little bit about it. Can we go back to the previous meeting, that foundational framework that we talked about? I'm just wondering, with us meeting on the 24th, if we have something there in play, which we thought would be a very basic framework, that could still go into the job description, which won't go out until July 27th.
Yeah, that's a good idea. If this
If there's a
goes
month
good.
in there, if we can pull that off. So I guess we're, you know, we had, at one time, Mary said that at a future meeting, that we didn't delineate that it would be June 24th.
I thought we did.
We did,
not?
okay.
Oh, I had it at a future meeting as
Oh,
well.
I'm sorry. So I just put the pressure on you.
I just don't want to put the pressure on you. When Judge Brazel put the pressure on you, right?
We can do it on the 5th of July, that's a Sunday.
And that's before the 6th of July, which is a.
Let me ask you this, Mary, when do you think you could get that framework to us?
I was more realistically thinking the July meeting, if we were to do these meetings.
What is our pattern for meetings, Mr. Chairman?
We had decided to do June 24th and I believe the 4th Wednesday in July. We discussed it at the last meeting.
That makes it kind of tight.
Yeah, it says on number 11 in the minutes, the next scheduled meeting would be on June 20th at 1 p.m. The committee would like to establish a regular meeting on the 4th Wednesday of the month.
Fourth Wednesday.
So whatever the 4th Wednesday in July is.
It's
22nd.
I would think.
Yeah.
Kim, that's too tight, isn't it? Fourth Wednesday of July and then trying to hit July 27th for posting a position.
What's the
Just
date?
a few days.
No, he's talking about putting that foundational framework, attaching it to the job description. So when you post the job description, they can see this foundational framework with it.
County board meeting's the 21st.
Okay.
Is that too hard to do, knowing that it's getting posted on the 27th?
Not really. I mean, as
Question.
long as the committee is okay to finalize on that, in that meeting, what the verbiage is going to be, we can certainly do that.
Okay. All right, so Mary, can you bring back at the July meeting, the foundational framework? And then at the June meeting, I think,
In document form,
Yep,
right?
in
And then she
document.
could pass that on to Kim, and
yep,
makes it easier.
yep, and then we would approve that ideally. It goes in, it can be attached with the application. And then in the June meeting, we can discuss these, essentially the plan of this committee that we can take back to judicial and legislative. And when is your judicial and legislative meeting? Would that be the 3rd?
No, we moved that, Mr. Chairman, to the,
Well, I mean, there's
let's see, the 3rd, 10th, I think we
Yeah.
moved.
Okay. All right, is there anything else under next steps and action plan? Seeing none, the next date of our meeting is the 24th and at 1 o'clock. So I will adjourn this meeting at 2:01. Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
It will likely, Mr. Chairman, stay with that 1 o'clock time for the July meeting and
Yeah.
future.
That was my plan, Should I hang up on Randy?
Go for it.
I was sleeping.